So good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty 360. I want to welcome everyone back to another Loyalty Expo preview video. In this series, we have the pleasure of speaking with the leading technology providers and brands who will be part of this year's Loyalty Expo in Charlotte, North Carolina from October 25th to 27th. They are on the cutting edge. They're seeing some very unique things around customer loyalty, customer experience. So it is a pleasure to get their feedback and perspective. And with that, we have the pleasure of speaking with Adeline Heymann, who is the Assistant Vice President of Strategic Consulting at Kobie. How are you, Adeline?
I'm wonderful, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to talk to us today. For those who may not be familiar with Kobie, would love to get a kind of a quick elevator pitch on what Kobie is, how they do it, and who they work with, and also we love to get a personal perspective on those we interview as well. So we'd love to know about your role and maybe a fun fact or two about you and maybe a passion point you have.
Absolutely, yes. Kobie is one of the leading full-service companies focused on loyalty. We are strategy-led, technology-enabled, and started as a family business 30 years ago, and now have the pleasure of supporting the technology and strategy for some of the world's largest brands across many verticals. I've been there for 5 years. I'm the Associate Vice President of our Strategy and Insights team, and I have the pleasure of leading a portfolio specifically focused on enterprise loyalty and global membership strategy. And so I'm really passionate about sort of the psychology of membership behavior, how we understand the data that shows how we build emotional connections, and then really specifically how we enable that through technology innovations. And so I'm a design thinker, sort of inspired by human curiosity, relentless at finding innovative solutions to sort of push loyalty to the next frontier. And, you know, I'm really proud to be here talking on behalf of Kobie and sort of how we think about emotional loyalty as a setup to this session.
Okay, great. When you look at emotional loyalty, your session at the conference, your workshop is building enterprise loyalty through building emotional connections. It's very important to brands. We have a growing membership base. We actually just did a kind of an infographic with our membership base around emotional loyalty. It's a very unique topic. And you guys were also featured earlier in the year, and we did an industry paper around emotional loyalty. And you were one of the 4 or 5 providers that we assessed. And obviously what you guys have is a very proven formula. You know, would love to get a brief overview of what you plan to present at the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kobie is really unique because we think of emotional loyalty as an input. And so it's really common to go into a loyalty program and say, we want to increase the emotional connection of our brand. We want to increase the emotional engagement with some of our best members, some of our best customers. And at Kobie, we found a way to sort of build an emotional loyalty toolkit that really breaks it down to understand what those emotional motivations are. And so in my talk, I'll be talking about that, sort of how we think about emotional loyalty as an input. And so we have a way to measure that, which specifically looks at status, habit, and reciprocity. So the emotional loyalty score of our member base. And then from that, we start to sort of unlock what that means for end-to-end customer understanding. So when we say we're strategy-led, it's really about what are the strategic tools that help us understand emotional motivations, and then how do we then turn that into a toolkit that we can activate in the market. And so when we think about our data and our technology enablement, it's all around emotional data specifically, in addition to the behavioral and transactional data that really gets us to the glue of, you know, building enterprise loyalty and really understanding engagement that matters.
Absolutely. Could you give us a few key takeaways that attendees can expect to learn from your session, and maybe even a little bit kind of a preview of your 3-part approach to emotional loyalty?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with a stat, and it's possible that everyone knows this one already, but you know, emotionally connected customers have 3 times the lifetime value compared to a satisfied customer. They have 1.5 times longer tenure than a satisfied customer. And I think innately we all believe this to be true, but really being able to prove this in market and being able to measure it is a differentiator for us. So really specifically, I'll teach how to think about status, habit, and reciprocity as part of that emotional toolkit for loyalty. I'll also share with everyone the drivers of loyalty that Kobie has, tried and tested, tried and true through all of our clients through alignment workshop methodology. So I'll give a sneak peek on that. And the last key takeaway is something that I get asked over and over again, which is, especially for large organizations, especially when you're not sure yet how to evolve and optimize a program, especially for brands that maybe are very siloed, maybe the loyalty team wants to have broader influence or grow and scale within the company. How do we identify what those drivers of loyalty are in order to build emotional connection? And I'll be bringing in actually a client case study that will be a global brand. And I've specifically chosen one actually that doesn't have an official programmatic approach, so that I can share with everyone tricks and tips on not only how to measure emotional loyalty, but then how to bring it to life through governance, through cross-functional teams, and through transformation.
Excellent. Who would benefit most from attending your conference session?
Yeah, great question, Mark. I would say marketing strategists, loyalty experts, brand planners, marketing communications. This is all around the strategy of thinking about how to measure emotional loyalty.
Okay, great. One last question. When you look at emotional loyalty, it is definitely a growing area of interest, as you know, from marketers. And one of the things that we saw in our industry report earlier in the year is that having a process, a proven pragmatic process, is very important. But there seems to be some challenges with regard to kind of definition of emotional loyalty, what it means, how you measure, and obviously you have a very proven process. If you could recommend potentially one thing that would help brands get to emotional loyalty, is it following that process? Is it creating simplicity? What would you recommend to a marketer who's looking to drive deeper emotional loyalty?
That is a great question, Mark. I would say it starts with authenticity. It starts with understanding where your members are today and what those desired behaviors are, and being realistic about how you can move the needle in the most meaningful and in the most personalized way. The desired outcome of every brand, of every program, is not going to be the same, because the baseline of where you're starting from is different. And so understanding where you are today and where you want to go, I think, is really important.
Excellent. Well, Adeline, I'm very much looking forward to hearing your session. I have a great deal of respect for Kobie as an organization, but I think based on what we have seen, your approach to emotional loyalty is very pragmatic, it's very measurable, and it's customizable to meet the unique needs of the brands. You mentioned that even the brand that you're going to be presenting doesn't have a true programmatic customer loyalty program, but their belief and have a focus on kind of a higher, more impactful customer loyalty paradigm, and looking forward to hearing that presentation for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to being there, Mark. Thanks.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for tuning in today. Looking forward to seeing you later this month in October. Have a wonderful day.